Einen wunderschönen guten Morgen nach Österreich und ein Mabuhay hier aus den Philippinen, aus Manila. Mein Name ist Christina Stieber, ich leite das Außenwirtschaftscenter hier in Manila und freue mich sehr, Sie gleich bei diesem Webinar heute früh in Österreich zu begrüßen. Das Webinar findet auf Englisch statt, deshalb werde ich mich auch gleich jetzt ins Englische begeben. Aber zumindest die Begrüßung an alle wollte ich noch auf Deutsch machen. So, also nochmal herzlich willkommen zu unserem Webinar zum Thema Recruiting from Indonesia and the Philippines. And that was just a slide over to the English language. And for me, I'm honored to give you some housekeeping remarks and just kind of invite you into this very early morning webinar, which is going to be packed with information. So maybe you might want to get another coffee or something to write on. I took mine, so take your pencils and coffees and everything out, and just get ready for all the information you're going to receive in the next hour and an hour and a half. Just for your information, the webinar will be recorded. This is a service for you, so because then you can have a look at it later on, and if you missed something, you just can, look at it again and again and again. If you want to, you can even learn it by heart. But anyway, we will provide you with the YouTube link later on, and then you can actually rewatch it. The webinar also is going to be as interactive as possible. I know we are all going to be here in front of the screens. However, you can talk with us via chat box and the F&A button that you see down there on Zoom. I know you're all experts on Zoom over the last couple of years, so you know how this works. The drill is the same one. Just type your messages there. We try to get to as many questions as possible by the end of the webinar. If we don't get to them, or the questions are way too detailed, or you don't want the question to be answered in front of everybody else because you have some secret recipe or a super winning strategy that you don't want to share with anyone, just mark that there. The more detailed questions will be answered in writing or via email, phone, postal pigeon, whatever means of communication we have available. We'll get to you with that. So with that, actually that was my part of it. I'm just signing off now. I'm going to wish you a very interesting and insightful webinar, and I'm handing over to the experts, the round of experts that we have lined up for you. And the first expert I'm super excited to introduce to you is the face of IFO in Vienna. It's Aaron, my colleague Aaron. So Aaron, the virtual floor is yours, and take it away.
Thank you, dear Christina. Good morning from Vienna. Einen wunderschönen guten Morgen aus Wien. Today, I'm going to give you a short presentation in German about our international recruiting initiative, die Internationale Fachkräfteoffensive, or short IFO, which is a joint project of 3 departments of the Austrian Federal Economic Chamber with the aim of creating sustainable structure, building bridges for the recruitment of skilled workers from 6 relevant focus countries. I'm very happy to see again such strong interest from Austrian companies in the skilled labor markets of our 2 focus countries, the Philippines and Indonesia. Gut, ich beginne mit einem Überblick über die ernste Ausgangslage in Österreich, die Ihnen bereits bekannt ist. 5% weniger Erwerbspersonen bis 2040. Es lässt sich also festhalten, dass in Österreich ein Arbeitsnehmermarkt herrscht und immer mehr offene Stellen auf immer weniger Arbeitssuchende treffen. Auch auf EU-Ebene ist die angespannte Arbeitsmarktsituation in dieser Hinsicht aufgrund einer ähnlichen demografischen Situation sehr vergleichbar. Als Hoffnung in Österreich zählt die Rot-Weiß-Rot-Karte-Reform. So fokussiert die internationale Fachkräfteoffensive-Programm der Wirtschaftskammer Österreich auf qualifizierte Zuwanderung. Dies geschieht in Handlungsfeldern, in denen Umsetzungsmaßnahmen und politische Förderungen vorgeschlagen werden, die letztendlich in die strategischen Ziele einzahlen. Zum Beispiel Kompetenzfeststellungen und Qualifizierungsmaßnahmen, Sourcing von geeigneten Bildungseinrichtungen, Capacity-Building-Maßnahmen, Gap-Analyse von Bildungsbedarfen, Rekrutierung, dazu gehören Rekrutierungsevents, Kooperationen mit Personalvermittlungsagenturen, Wirtschaftsmissionen, Pilotprojekte etc., Weiterentwicklung der Rot-Weiß-Rot-Karte als richtiger Weg, politische Sensibilisierung nimmt zu, die Erleichterungen voriges Jahr waren natürlich auch ganz wichtig und Österreich als Arbeitsstandort positionieren, Community Building und öffentlicher Austausch, Schaffung eines attraktiven und einheitlichen Erscheinungsbildes im Ausland. Genau, das sind unsere Fokusländer wie so Philippinen und Indonesien. Es gibt ein staatliches Interesse ins Ausland zu vermitteln, ein immenses Humankapital und exzellente Rekrutierungsstruktur. Das werden wir später noch von unseren Sprecherinnen hören. Und in die nächste Folie sehen Sie unsere Mangelberufe. Auf den Philippinen sind insbesondere diplomierte Pflegekräfte, aber auch technische Berufe gut geeignet. In Indonesien liegt unser Fokus auf die Mangelberufe Fresser, Dreher, Schweißer, Tischler, Maschinenbauer und IT. Die IFO-Aktivitäten, was bieten wir Ihnen? Auch ganz wichtig, also doch zunächst ein kurzes organisatorisches Update. Wir haben die IFO-Strukturen im Ausland ausgebaut. In Zukunft werden uns 4 IFO Key Account Managers in 4 unseren Fokusländern unterstützen. Eine davon ist für einige von Ihnen ein bekanntes Gesicht. Unsere alte und sehr geschätzte Kollegin Tess Francisco unterstützt ab 1. Jänner die IFO-Agenten auf den Philippinen in Vollzeit. Dank ihrer Initiative kommen nächste Woche zum Beispiel 22 philippinische Personalvermittlungsagenturen nach Österreich. Im Zuge dessen haben wir auch eine B2B-Veranstaltung in der Wirtschaftskammer Österreich für Sie organisiert. Mehr dazu wird Tess Ihnen im Anschluss präsentieren. Stichwort Rekrutierungsveranstaltungen. Seit Sommer 2022 wurden über 27 IFO-Veranstaltungen organisiert und bis Ende des Jahres sind weitere geplant. Basisplanung für 2024. Konkret werden wir Webinare mit Informationsschwerpunkt, so wie das heutige Webinar, Wirtschaftsmissionen vor Ort, Online-Rekrutierungsevents über die Bit2Match-Plattform, vor Ort Rekrutierungsevents mit Bildungseinrichtungen, zum Beispiel Jobfairs, Teilnahme auf Jobmessen, Katalogausstellung, Firmenstand, Incoming-Missionen, IFO B2B-Veranstaltungen im Inland. Wir werden aber auch weiterhin mit einem IFO-Stand an wichtigen Cross-Selling-Veranstaltungen im Inland teilnehmen. Unsere IFO-Zielgruppen in Österreich sind weiterhin die österreichische Personalvermittlungsagenturen, aber auch Unternehmen, HR-Abteilungen. Wir haben für Sie Rekrutierungstools entwickelt, damit formale Kompetenzen basierend auf Lernabschlussprüfungen von ausländischen Bewerbern feststellen können. Sie werden in Zukunft mit Beratung, Service, Infomaterial, mit Leitfäden, aber auch mit Lernstrecken auf WhatsApp unterstützt. Wir haben mit einigen Unternehmen virtuelle Betriebsbesichtigungen als Rekrutierungstool in 4 Sprachen erstellt. Wir nehmen sie mit auf verschiedene Jobmessen im Ausland. Das funktioniert auch sehr, sehr gut. Teil von IFO sind aber auch branchenspezifische Pilotprojekte. In die nächste Folie zeige ich Ihnen auch so 3 Bilder von 3 spannenden Veranstaltungsformaten aus dem letzten Jahr. Ganz links unsere erfolgreiche Wirtschaftsmission, Rekrutierung von Fachkräften aus den Philippinen vom Oktober 2023. Es waren 4 Tage Rekrutierungsreise für österreichische Personalvermittlungsagenturen, HR-Expertinnen in 2 Städten, Manila und Iloilo. Es waren 2 Delegationen, eine Wirtschaftsmission mit 17 österreichischen Unternehmen sowie ein politischer Experten Memorandum of Understanding Runde, geleitet von Staatssekretärin Klaus Winkler und der Wirtschaftskammer Generalsekretär Kopf. Ich denke, über das bundesweite Memorandum of Understanding sind Sie in den Medien auch gut informiert. In der Mitte sehen Sie einen Screenshot unseres Online-Recruiting-Events für österreichische Unternehmen und internationale IT-Talente, IT-Job Days, das viele von Ihnen auch bereits kennen. Im November 2023 haben wir die 3. Auflage durchgeführt und planen für dieses Jahr 2 weitere Formate. Und ganz rechts sehen Sie ein Foto von einer Jobmesse mit Schülerinnen einer Berufsschule im Kosovo, die im Rahmen unserer IFO-Evaluierungsreise in Albanien, Kosovo im Mai 2023 organisiert wurde. Das war eine Fact-Finding- und Wirtschaftsmission für das österreichische Leitunternehmen mit Schwerpunkt Elektronisation Fachkräften. Genau, hier ist ein Ausblick für 24 in unsere 2 Fokusländer, Philippinen und Indonesien. Die erste Veranstaltung findet nächste Woche statt. Hier wird meine Kollegin die Tess Francisco im Anschluss auch das Programm kurz erläutern. Von 13. bis 17. Mai 2024 findet eine sehr, sehr spannende Wirtschaftsmission nach Jakarta und Manila. Wir haben 5 Rekrutierungstage geplant. Auch hier werde ich im Anschluss die Informationen auch auf unser Portal zeigen. Also die Veranstaltung ist schon veröffentlicht. Im Juni, während Exporttag am 18. Juni 2024, werden wir während Exporttag auch mit einem IFO-Fachkräfte-Campus dabei sein. Was bedeutet das? Hier versuchen wir österreichische Personalvermittler, österreichische Firmen sowie andere relevante Multiplikatoren in unserem Bereich zusammenzubringen. Am 1. Oktober 2024 ist auch ein IFO-Sprechtag, das ist eine Art Webinar geplant, wo unser Key Account Manager in Manila, Des Francisco, wird Ihnen auch IFO-Services nochmal präsentieren, also an dem Markt, sowie sie steht Ihnen auch für einen persönlichen Austausch zur Verfügung. Und im November 2024 planen wir auch eine Art Boutique-Mission, eine Wirtschaftsmission wieder auf den Philippinen. Wir haben mal in Klammer Special Edition genannt, also hier folgen die Informationen auch noch.
And my online, hello, good afternoon, everyone, for the ones in Asia, and a pleasant morning to those who are in Vienna or in Europe at the moment. Thank you very much, Eran, for the short introduction. And like my colleague mentioned already, my name is Tess or Teresa Francisco. I'm the key account manager for IFO assigned for Manila or the Philippines. Just a very quick reminder, next week we are going to have a trade mission. This is called Marketing and Cooperation Mission, the first ever from the Philippines with the group of the Philippine Association of Service Exporters, Inc. or PASE. To give you a short overview, PASE is the biggest and the oldest organization of recruitment agencies in the Philippines. These are the experts who have been deploying OFWs or overseas Filipino workers all over the world, wherever it is. So this is a very good opportunity to have a B2B meeting to discuss with Austrian employers and recruitment agencies matters that has something to do with recruitment. And this is also a good chance because they are coming to Austria and they will spend a day at the aus office at the Federal Economic Chamber office on March 13. We invite everyone to sign up and join the day and have a good interaction and networking with these Filipino recruitment agencies. And with that, for now, I know there's a lot of questions from our interested Austrian companies, employers, recruitment agencies. So for our webinar, we're going to have a representative, a speaker who is an expert. And I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of her name or have sent her some communication because she's sitting at the Migrant Workers Office in Milan, a very experienced when it comes to the process of accreditation of foreign employers and foreign recruitment agencies. I won't take much of time. I will introduce now and I will give it you Ms. Raya May Manalo from our MW office in Milan. Raya, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Ma'am Tess, for the introduction. So, hi everyone, good morning and good afternoon from wherever you are. First of all, I'd like to thank our Austrian embassies in Manila and Jakarta, as well as to WKO for inviting us to speak in this webinar. And let me introduce myself again. I'm Raya Manalo. I'm one of the personnel of the Migrant Workers Office in Milan. So just a brief background there. What we would do with my presentation today is we would just go through a little bit of an introduction about the Department of Migrant Workers and the Migrant Workers Office, and then we'll go through some of the technical details of accreditation, which is what employers need to do in order to deploy workers to Austria. Okay, so the Department of Migrant Workers is a new department. So this just started operating around 2022, and we are still in transition. So first we were from the Department of Labor and Employment, and now we are with the Department of Migrant Workers. So it is the primary agency tasked to protect the rights and promote the welfare of overseas Filipino workers. So our job pertains to policy making up to its implementation and operations. And aside from that, uh, we 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 are in charge of the full migration cycle from pre-deployment, so meaning from when you get the workers from the Philippines up to their reintegration back to the Philippines. So next slide, please. Okay. So just a brief overview of our coverage. So basically, I think we have more than 30 offices around the world. And for the Migrant Workers Office in Milan, these are the countries that we are currently covering. We handle Hungary and the concurrent jurisdictions of the Philippine Embassy there, as well as Austria and the concurrent jurisdiction of the Philippine Embassy in Vienna. So these are the countries that we are covering. If you have any other business from these countries, then you also have to talk to us. So, but good news is that we are currently, we have in the works the opening of a migrant workers office in Vienna. So hopefully soon things would be much more faster and easier because there would be a dedicated office in Vienna. Okay, so next slide, please. This is just an overview of the programs and services that we have at the Department of Migrant Workers. We have the One Repatriation Command Center. So these are for requests for repatriation of our workers. We have efforts of digitalization and in cooperation with another department in the Philippines. So hopefully in the near future, we would be transitioning to paperless transactions. Next, we also have negotiations, so bilateral labor agreements. Just last year, we had one signed with Austria regarding the recruitment of healthcare professionals. And then we also have programs for OFW children and families. So this is not just for the workers, but also for their families. Okay, next slide, please. Of course, we have programs for integration. So we have the National Reintegration Program. So we have livelihood development programs, trainings, loans, financial assistance for workers who intend to stay for good in the Philippines after going abroad. We also have scholarships for children of OWA members. So Overseas Workers Welfare Administration is an attached agency of the DMW, and that is one of their programs, which is to help in the education of the children of Filipino workers. Of course, we also have protection for workers against illegal recruitment and trafficking in persons. And next is we have a dedicated OFW hospital for Filipino workers. Okay, next slide, please. So now we go to our services as the Migrant Workers Office. First is employment facilitation and documentation. This is what we do for the registration of Filipino workers. We verify the employment documents. We accredit employers and foreign recruitment agencies. We also issue overseas employment certificates for vacationing workers. And we have labor and welfare case management. So if there are any issues with the workers, you can ask us to mediate or conciliate. We can help you talk to the workers so that we can agree to to settle the issues and problems, whatever you may have with the workers. We also have counseling and conciliation and repatriation assistance. So, of course, still the obligation for repatriation is with the employers and the agencies. But we are also there to help with the repatriation of workers. Okay. Next, we have OWA services. This is the attached agency with the DMW. They offer trainings and seminars, community outreach, information dissemination and information sessions, OWA membership processing, welfare case management, hospital and home visits, and repatriation assistance. So basically, they are focused on the welfare of OFWs. Okay, so next slide, please. So we start with the nitty-gritty, a little bit of the technical side of the accreditation of companies wishing to hire Filipino workers. So first, companies have to be accredited by the Migrant Workers Office operating in its jurisdiction. In the case of Vienna, that's us in Milan. So the labor attaché shall ensure that the employment contracts of the overseas Filipino workers are consistent with the prevailing employment laws, standards, and practices in both the Philippines and the host country. So, of course, we check both, and we have a standard employment contract that you can use for the contract of your workers. But of course, this is not set. We just need the terms and provisions to be there, and you can have your own template for your contract. Next slide, please. If needed, the labor attaché will conduct an interview with the employer or his or her authorized representative about the details of the employment. An ocular inspection may also be conducted by the Migrant Workers Office to check on the working conditions of the workers. And once documents are verified, the foreign agency or employer shall be accredited with the DMW. So once accredited, the OFW shall be issued an overseas employment certificate, and he or she can leave the Philippines for deployment abroad. So this is a document that the immigration officers in the Philippines will check to see if they are really workers going abroad. Next slide, please. So this is the link where you could see the licensed recruitment agencies. So we have here all the recruitment agencies licensed by the department, whether land-based or sea-based. And you would be able to see those that were closed down or permanently banned from participating in the recruitment industry in the Philippines. So if you are looking for a partner Philippine recruitment agency, you can go to this site, and we also have the contact details of the agencies there. So it's a good place to start for the recruitment of Filipino workers. Okay, next slide, please. Basically, we have 4 types of accreditation. The direct employer or the company itself can have itself accredited with the Migrant Workers Office. So meaning you would be directly partnering with a Philippine recruitment agency to do the recruitment. Okay, what happened? Okay, and then next we also have a foreign recruitment agency accreditation. So if you want an agency to do the technical procedures for you, then that's also fine. The foreign recruitment agency can have itself accredited with us. And then we also have accreditation for staffing agencies. So meaning the agency would be serving as the employer of the workers. And then we also have direct hiring for professionals and highly skilled workers. But for this, the limit is only 5. So 5 workers per company only. So beyond that, you would need accreditation. And later, I'll just explain the difference for the direct hiring. So these are what the things that we look for in the contract. These are the things that we check for accreditation. Of course, this should be in the contract. We can have a side-by-side contract, English and then German. That's okay as long as we have an English translation. We need these details, the name and address of the employer, the Philippine recruitment agency, of course, of the Filipino worker, the position and job site, basic monthly salary, the benefits, the allowances, the mode of payment, the food and accommodation, transportation, of course, from the Philippines and back to the Philippines once the contract is concluded. Next slide, please. The work hours, overtime pay, holiday pay, vacation leave, sick leave, free medical and dental treatment, the just, valid, and authorized causes for termination, settlement of disputes, repatriation of worker in case of imminent danger due to war, calamity, and other analogous circumstances. And in case of the death of the worker, the repatriation of the OFW's human remains and their personal belongings. Okay, next slide, please. So these are the documents that we ask for the accreditation. So for direct employers, we have the recruitment agreement between the company and the Philippine Recruitment Agency. So these are already documents that have templates. So the Philippine Recruitment Agency would already have these documents. We have the job order, another templated document. So this is a document which says how many number of workers are needed, what are the positions needed, and the salary per position. We have the master employment contract. And what I discussed earlier, those are the content. If you have any other requirements for that, it's okay, as long as those that we discussed before are there. So you can add on that. The valid identification of the employer and the PRA, the Philippine Recruitment Agency representative, the certification or license of the PRA with the MW that they are a licensed agency, the company registration of the company in English, and of course an undertaking by the employer to monitor the employment of overseas Filipino workers. This is another templated document. So aside from the contract, the business registration, and the IDs, your partner Philippine Recruitment Agency would be able to help you with the documents that we need. Okay, next slide, please. It's a little longer for foreign recruitment agencies, of course, because we would be needing their, aside from what I've discussed a while ago, we would be needing their license to operate as an employment agency from the host country, and then their business registration as a foreign recruitment agency, and the service agreement between the foreign recruitment agency and the company itself. Okay, next slide, please. I think the checklist would be available for you to go back to in the YouTube channel of the organizers, and I think they would also be giving you a copy of the presentation, so you can just go back later if ever. So this is for the direct hiring. So basically, the Philippines has a law that direct hiring is not allowed. So this is an exemption to that rule. Companies are allowed to directly hire professionals for up to five workers only. So what is direct hiring? It means that the companies do not need a Philippine recruitment agency to get the workers. So you go to us with these documents, and you can have up to five workers without a Philippine recruitment agency. But if you're planning to hire more than five, and of course we have to evaluate the contract and the position, if it would be allowed for direct hiring, then you would need a Philippine recruitment agency. If we see that the positions that you're hiring for is not for direct hiring, then you would need a Philippine recruitment agency. But for purposes of this presentation, let me just briefly go through the checklist for the direct hiring. So we would need a cover letter signed by the company representative, just to briefly state the reason why you want to be exempted from the no direct hiring policy of the Philippines. And then the employment contract. So preferably the standard employment contract, but it is not necessary. Copy of the worker's passport, visa, the employer's business registration in English, ID of the employer, copy of the worker's diploma, and resume, as well as a job offer or job description from the employer. So that's it for direct hiring. Next slide, please. So these are the fees that shall be for the account of the principals, the employers or the companies. So the visa, the work permit and resident permit, the round-trip airfare from the Philippines and back after the contract, transportation from the airport to the job site, the DMW processing fee, the OWA membership fee, which is at $25, additional trade assessment if needed by the company, and then the service fees to be charged against the principals or employers by the recruitment agency. So based on the 2023 DMW rules and regulations, the licensed Philippine recruitment agency shall be responsible for the payment of the premium for the compulsory insurance coverage of the worker under the Republic Act 8042. So next slide, please. And these are the fees for the account of the Filipino worker. So all documentation costs, so meaning passport, police clearance, birth certificate, diploma, and transcript of records, their professional licenses, and certificate of competencies, as well as the medical examination would have to be paid for by the worker, as well as membership to government institutions such as PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and Social Security System. Next slide, please. So a placement fee may be charged against the Filipino worker equivalent to 1 month basic salary specified in the DMW approved contract, except for the following. First, if you are recruiting a domestic worker, so that is not allowed. And then secondly, if the workers will be deployed to countries where the prevailing system, either by law, policy, or practice, do not allow, directly or indirectly, the charging and collection of recruitment or placement fees. So no other charges in whatever manner, amount, or purpose shall be charged against the Filipino worker, except those specified under the rules. So the 2023 DMW rules and regulations may also be searched online. It is readily available if you want to check these provisions. Next slide. So this is the procedure for accreditation. So first, you will initially evaluate your documents, your submission. You can send the scanned copies to us through email. So currently, we're still using this email, polomilan1@gmail.com for initial evaluation. So you don't have to send the physical documents to us yet because we want to initially provide evaluation first just to see if we have everything are correct and complete. So after that, the labor attaché may interview the employer and or even conduct an on-site inspection of the job site, and as well as the accommodation of the workers if necessary. Afterwards, we would need the documents to be sent to us, and you would have to pay the verification fee upon receipt of the documents. So at the moment, our payment mode is only through bank transfer, and it takes around 1 to 2 business days before payments are reflected in our bank account. But afterwards, once payment has been reflected, we will process the documents and we will issue an accreditation certificate to the company or the recruitment agency. So you would be recorded as an accredited company with the DMW, and the employer or the agency would have to pick up by courier for delivery to the Philippine Recruitment Agency your documents. So the Philippine Recruitment Agency would need the physical documents sent back to the Philippines for submission to DMW. So after that, you're already accredited, and your workers could already go through the other processes like pre-deployment orientation seminar, and then they would already be issued their overseas employment certificate so that they can go to Austria. So next slide, please. Okay, that's it for my presentation. So if you have any questions or if you want more explanation about the process, you can contact us through these emails or mobile numbers. So that's the Migrant Workers Office in Milan. And thank you very much again for your patience, for listening. And let me hand over the floor to our colleagues in Indonesia, Ms. Dina Carol and Mr. Sigmund Demeti.
Thank you very much, Raya Manalo. A warm welcome from Jakarta. My name is Sigmund Nemeti. I'm the Commercial Counselor of the Austrian Embassy Commercial Section, Advantage Austria office in Jakarta. And with me today, we have Ms. Dina Carol. Ms. Dina Carol is the head of the formal manpower department of the Indonesian Manpower Services Association, APJATI. She's also president director of the international recruitment agency, PT Tenriavaru Elite International, also called Elite International Recruitment. And today, Dina will be presenting to you the recruitment processes for skilled workers, skilled manpower from Indonesia to Austria. I would like to hand over the word to Dina. And Dina, we're very eager to learn more about how it works from Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Namati. Good morning, everybody in the Austria, and good afternoon for Philippines and anybody in Asia. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to join this webinar. Again, I'm Dina Carol. I am the head of formal manpower department in the Association of Indonesian Manpower Service Company, but I'm also the president director for Elite International Recruitment. So I'm going to talk about the recruitment process for skilled manpower from Indonesia, specifically to Austria. Yes. First of all, I will say something before we go to the really technical details. I want you to know this is how we see Austria in our eyes. This is very important because this will be the base later on of Indonesian can work in Austria. So for sure, it's a beautiful country, and then opera houses, and then orchestra, and famous names like Mozart, Niki Lauda, and of course Arnold Schwarzenegger. And specifically for me, Swarovski, milk and cheese, and the peaceful country to live. Why I mentioned those? Because those are very appealing for many Indonesians as well to have good living, career opportunities, and chance to work abroad. Of course, it's not just a good part, but they need to work hard and be committed to to their job. And this is famous saying by the Arnold Schwarzenegger, just remember you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands in your pockets. This is what we always promote the country. They're looking for Indonesians to the candidates. Okay, next slide, please. And this is the if what I said before was what is really appealing for Indonesians, but now this is I'm going to talk about Indonesia at a glance. That is actually vice versa. This is why you can recruit Indonesians. Indonesia is comprised of almost 18,000 islands and making it the world's largest archipelagic states in the world. Also consists of around 300 different kinds of ethnic, linguistic, and religious groups. This will be very important later on for our workers to be able to adjust with everybody else abroad. And with an estimated population of around 280 million people, Indonesia is now the world's fourth most populous country. Many young Indonesians are hardworking people who carry the burden of supporting their families for many years, and it is for this reason that many choose to work abroad. And yeah, next slide, please. The workers' personalities, maybe any one of you is not familiar with how are Indonesian to be able to work abroad and how they work. We have had some testimonies from many of international clients who are satisfied with recruiting Indonesians as they have found them very hardworking and friendly. Also, like I mentioned before, that a lot of them have the responsibility to carry them their family economically, so that's why they have to work really hard. And also because of those 300 different kind of ethnics, Indonesians are able to adapt easily to the new surrounding and have been able to work well in multicultural. This is very important, and this is what we always tell our clients abroad. And again, we believe with the large manpower resources available throughout Indonesia, we are able to deliver very good candidates for many specialized skills. And next slide, please. This is Indonesians who works all over the world. Well, actually, total, we have almost about 4 million Indonesians working abroad legally. And it's been spread to the East Europe, West Europe, Middle East for sure, and in Southeast Asia, Asia Pacific, Australia, America, Southeast Asia, Africa, everywhere. And the areas of expertise are hospitality, healthcare, home care, construction, mining, oil and gas. We have very good engineers for those industry. And then mechanical and engineering, manufacturing and fabrication, farming and agriculture, transportation and logistic, IT and back office management. We used to be one of the biggest countries who send domestic workers, But right now, our government are still looking into it. We want to send more skilled workers abroad. Next slide, please. So these are the sources for agencies in Indonesia to get their best talent to work abroad. We have a few different associations, profession associations, and in schools, training centers. Training centers will play quite an important part for this. And then the language centers, communities and clubs, online job platforms. We have government job platforms, and we also have some private job platforms. So Indonesian agencies work with those channels and government bodies. And the next slide, please. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this Association for Indonesian Manpower Agencies, or APJATI. So APJATI is the only association recognized by the Indonesian Ministry of Manpower and registered in the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce. They have about 400 active members. As you know, we have to have special license to be able to send Indonesian to work abroad. And so APJATI serves its members to give protection to the agencies and the migrant workers, as well as to build productive and strategic partnership with the government, association, private companies, foreign agencies, and non-government institutions. So basically, APJATI is helping the government. Okay, next, please. Okay, these are now I'm going to the technical details of how to recruit Indonesian skilled manpower to Austria. So there is a government who will oversee everything, especially for the Indonesian government, and the user are the foreign manpower agencies, in this case, the companies or agencies in Austria, and then the Indonesian manpower, we call it P3MI, and then the Indonesian migrant workers candidates. So we just call it candidates. Next slide. This I will have some diagrams. Maybe you will see it a bit complicated, but I will suggest you to focus on the ones that will be your sort of responsibility in Austria. But I will still explain anyway what is what are the process in Indonesia. So the preliminary of the process is the agency, people in the agency in Indonesia. This is between the agency and the user. The user can be actually the agencies in Austria or companies in Austria. So the user have to prepare agreement between the Indonesian agency and the client. So this will be a discussion between the two parties. And then the working contract, the master work agreement between the user and the candidate. And after that, the demand letter. So this is the very, very important thing that you have to do to apply, to do the next process. So all of this, actually, I can give you the format upon request. So we can email you that. And then we already have a template or format that you can change, especially for the working contract as per your company rules. But as long as it still match of the minimum requirements from our government, that is okay. So all of this have to be submitted to our Indonesian embassy in the country, in this case in Austria. The agreement between, I'm not done, I will, can you please go back? Thank you. The agreement between Indonesian agency and the user basically will say the company A now is having collaboration or work partnership with the company in Indonesia with the terms and condition ABC. And the master working contract will have to contain the basic information like salary, working hours, vacation, insurance, all the standard for the working contract. Again, I can give you the template for this. And the demand letter is a letter of request from the user to the agency, but the Indonesian embassy have to approve. So this will contain the name of the position, the number of the position, salary, and other benefits. You can do the number of the positions you need or the personnel you need. For example, because this will be valid for 6 months. Some can be valid for 1 year. So if you think in 1 year, you will need about, for example, you will need about 400 people, and you want to grant one agency in Indonesia to supply for 400 people, though you only need like maybe 30 first or 20 after, you can state like 400. So it doesn't mean that you have to receive Indonesian worker for that many, but you can put the number for 1 year, so you don't have to go back and forth and doing the stamp to the Indonesian embassy. After that, you bring everything to the Indonesian embassy for the attestation. And when they finish with the attestation, they will let you know, and then you can take the documents and then you courier it to us. And the Indonesian embassy will also send to our manpower department in Indonesia, the National Agency for the Placement and Protection of Overseas Labor, the BP2MI. And then actually you stop from here. Then the process will be the responsibilities of the agency. And then we will be the ones coordinating with the manpower department to get the hiring permit for agency, and then we can start the hiring process. Yes, next one, please. And this is the candidate selection. Some of the diagrams as well is actually happening in Indonesia. So what you only need to let us know is the requirement. I will quickly continue. For the candidate selection, so we do the CV screening for the clients, and then after that, though a lot of people send through platform online and everything, we still do the document verification, especially for the job experience, school certificate, and everything else. After we done with the pre-screening, and then we propose to the user for the user to choose which one of the candidates they like, and we can arrange for the interview or skill test. Interview can be online or the user fly out to Indonesia, and we can do in several cities in Indonesia as well. So, and for skill test, we can also provide whatever the requirement for the skill test. And then after that, the user's approval, they choose which one they would like to hire. And next slide, please. So after the client choose and confirm which one they would like to hire, then this is the time for the user or the client to prepare for the job offer or the working agreement for the candidates to sign. This has to be exactly the same agreement like the one they proposed to the embassy and being attested. So we cannot have two different job offer. I have to say this because there's quite a lot of cases that the ones that they propose to the embassy is different than the one that they offer to the candidates, because sooner or later the government will find out, then it will be problems in the future. So we have to make sure that it's exactly the same agreement. And after that, the candidate will do the medical check. If they're unfit, then it stop, and if they fit, then we can continue to the next process. So in this case, we also always suggest our clients to have a reserve For example, if they only need 10, we suggest they will select 12 or 13 people just for a backup in case any of them are not fit. And then the next slide, please. Then we go to document submission process. This is actually a lot of these are happening in Indonesia. So again, this is not really for the user unless when the user are applying for the working permit or visa. So the candidates would submit their medical reports, school certificate, ID, and have to have permission letters from parents or guardian. It's a must in here. And then they will upload it online to the district manpower department, and then they will have the worker's ID. After this will happen simultaneously with the user applying for the working permit. So when the visa already issued, together with the visa and the worker's ID, we will submit again online to the government bodies. Next slide. And then this will be the final recruitment process. So the candidates now have the ID, the visa, and employment contract, the attested employment contract. We uploaded into the online system in Indonesia. Again, these are actually happening in Indonesia, but only for you to know. And then after that, we'll have the orientation schedule and the pre-departure orientation. So the government do the pre-departure orientation for all the candidates to go. During this time, we would communicate with the client. If it is the client who booked the ticket, we will let them know to book the ticket. But if it is us who booked the ticket, we will start booking the ticket and coordinating with the client. And then we do another briefing in the agents. And after that, they ready to fly, go to the airport and ready to fly. So those are actually the process. And these are just the pictures of some Indonesian working abroad to Hungary, to Romania, and then we have Taiwan, Poland, and a lot of other countries. We send a lot of mechanics and hospitality as well as a favorite. And then the mining, oil and gas, nurse, and everything. And next. This is just for samples. A lot of Indonesian agencies here have very good training center. Also for mechanic, for nurse, for hospitality, we have very good facilities in here. And we can do language training upon request as well. I know not all Indonesian can speak English, but we have very good training method in here. And also for a non-English country, like for example, we sent a lot to Korea, to Japan, to Taiwan, that they have quite a difficult language, and we do the training, we have the method. And also we follow the certification requirement from the country. So I think that's all. I will be very happy to answer any questions or email, or I can send you any template letters or anything. Terima kasih. Thank you very much.
Good morning and a very warm welcome to all participants in Austria, and thank you for Jakarta and Manila for inviting me today. My name is Stephanie Flasch and I am part of the Austrian Business Agency and our immigration team, so Immigration and Residence Services. I'm very much looking forward to sharing with you today how to employ skilled workers or talents from Indonesia and the Philippines. To start with, let me give you a brief overview of our departments at the Austrian Business Agency, which is Invest in Austria, Work in Austria, and Film in Austria. So whether you are planning to set up a company in Austria, to work in Austria, or to employ skilled workers from abroad in Austria, or to maybe film a movie in Austria, you're at the right place with us. So More details on our various services at the Austrian Business Agency can be seen here on this slide. For you as Austrian companies or recruiting agencies, especially our new Talent Hub is relevant for you, as well as the team in which I work, Immigration and Residence Services, and certainly also relocation to Austria. Let me share with you on the next slide what we as immigration team offer for you. So we have a lot of information online on how to employ international skilled workers in Austria. We lead you, or we guide you and your skilled workers from the Philippines and Indonesia through the entire application process for an Austrian residence permit. All our services are, of course, free, and we also serve as mediators between you, your future employees from the Philippines and Indonesia, and the Austrian authorities if necessary. And this has also been implemented in the Austrian Act on the Employment of Foreign Nationals in paragraph 28 since about 1.5 years. Without further ado, let's jump right into the subject. And as a first step, I would like to share with you our immigration guide, or just to briefly mention it, unless in case you do not know it yet. It's a very, very handy tool which allows you as an Austrian company, or also your future employees from the Philippines and Indonesia, to check out what immigration route would be the best one in the specific case. And I encourage you to check it out right after the webinar if you haven't already. And it's really a great tool which makes immigration to Austria very easy. And obviously we are always here for you in case you have additional questions on the route to choose. Now, when it comes to the legal foundations of employing nationals from the Philippines and Indonesia in Austria, you will see here an overview on the relevant laws, which are especially the Niederlassungs- und Aufenthaltsgesetz and the Ausländerbeschäftigungsgesetz. There are, of course, several target groups. If the person you would like to employ happens to have double nationality, maybe the person is let's say, a German and Filipino national, then of course it would be even easier to employ them. But here today we mainly talk about, of course, third country nationals, and in their cases they will need a residence and work permit for Austria. And the two types of cards, which I'm going to talk to you about, the red, white, red card and the EU blue card, they come as combined work and residence permits, which is, of course, making things easier. On the next slide, you will see an overview of the most relevant types of red, white, red cards for your future employees in Austria. There are 4 categories which are especially relevant in this case: the skilled workers in shortage occupations, red, white, red card, the one for other key workers, the one for very highly qualified workers, and the one for graduates of Austrian universities. So this really only concerns Filipinos or Indonesians who concluded their studies in Austria and you would now like to employ them. All of those target groups can also apply for an EU blue card if they meet the requirements. And on the next slide, you will see an overview in which ways the red, white, red cards and the EU blue cards differ. It's quite complex, but we try to highlight the most important factors of all the different cards. When it comes to the first category, skilled workers in shortage occupations, so this is Fachkräfte in Mangelberufen in German, you will see that the basic prerequisite is having completed an education, professional training in the shortage occupation, which applies in that case. There is a points system applicable to this type of red, white, red card. The Austrian Labour Authority is not entitled to carry out any additional check about potential other persons on the Austrian job market with this card, as this concerns jobs that are nationwide or regional known as lacking of manpower. When it comes to the salary, there is no specific salary set for this permit, but it is, of course, important to ensure that the skilled worker from the Philippines or Indonesia is paid according to a correct classification within the applicable collective bargaining agreement. And if it's customary within the company to grant overpayment, this is, of course, also due to workers from abroad. When it comes to family members, they are required to either present a German A1 certificate or a substitute. Now, the next category, the other key workers. One slide back, please. We're still on the overview. Thank you. This card comes with a point system as well. There might be a labor market check carried out by AMS, the Austrian Labor Market Authority. And there is a specific minimum salary, which is 3,030 euros gross per month in 2024. And family members also have to present proof of German skills or a substitute. When it comes to the next category, very highly qualified workers, there is also a point system applicable. No labor market test will be carried out by AMS. When it comes to the salary, it is, again, according to the applicable bargaining agreement and also potential overpayment if customary within the company, but there is no specific minimum salary. Family members do not need to show any proof of German certificates, nor do they have to provide any substitute. Now, the last category of the red card, one slide back, please, which I'd like to present to you is the one for Austrian university graduates. In their case, they need to have completed studies in Austria at an Austrian university. There is no point system applicable. No labor market test will be carried out. And when it comes to the salary, there is again no legally stipulated minimum salary. Family members do have to show proof of German skills or present a substitute. And the EU Blue Card, which is applicable to all of these groups if the requirements are met, does not come with any point system. There might be a labor market check carried out by the Austrian Labor Market Authority, though. There is a legally stipulated minimum salary, which definitely has to be met, otherwise the card cannot be issued. And this is 3,418 euros per month in 2024. The prerequisite is either to have completed studies at a university, which is recognized for 3 years, so at least usually a bachelor degree is required, or in case of the IT industry, it is sufficient that the skilled worker presents proof of 3 years in the industry of work experience gained during the last 7 years before application for the EU Blue Card. Family members do not need to show any proof of German skills, neither do they have to present a substitute. Now, the next slide gives an overview of those mentioned cards. So all of them are combined work and residence permits. They are designed for people wanting to immigrate long-term to Austria. The prerequisite is always a binding job offer with an Austrian company. The card binds to one specific employer. It is valid for up to 2 years, and immigration with family is, of course, possible. The next slide, please. Here you will see an overview of the steps of immigration from an Austrian immigration perspective. So when it comes to the process of application in Austria, it is, of course, important to have all the required documents necessary. You will find them on our website and also in our immigration guide, or if you email us with a specific case, we will share a list of documents with you, of course. The application can either be submitted by the Austrian employer via email for the skilled worker and now also for their families upon initial immigration, or else the person concerned submits the application to the Austrian embassy in the Philippines or Indonesia. The processing time of application is about, or the time to issue the permit is about 8 weeks. It might be a bit less or a bit more if documents are missing. It can be a little longer process, but usually the 8 weeks do apply. Arrival in Austria, when everything has been approved, is based on a visa D. For nationals from the Philippines and Indonesia, a visa is required to enter Austrian territory. There's going to be a personal appointment with the Austrian Immigration Authority to submit biometric data and some documents. And start of the employment is only possible once the foreign national collected their residence permit, and then the Austrian company can start employing the person anytime. The next slide, please. Here you will have, you see an overview again. When it comes to a skilled worker, their permit is tied to the company for the first 2 years. After that, a renewal to a so-called red, white, red card plus is possible. And this permit is going to be issued for 3 years. And after those 5 first initial years in Austria, it is possible to apply for the long-term resident EU permit, which is valid for 5 years. And basically the same applies to family members. But they will receive a red, white, red card plus right from the start. Next slide, please. When it comes to you as an Austrian employer, it is, of course, important to submit documents for the initial application. But other than that, you will have to report day 1 of the employment relationship and also the last day within 3 days to AMS. Unless there is an exception, which applies for long-term resident EU permit holders. You will have to keep all permits at the office and show them in case of an inspection, if applicable. And when it comes to renewal application, the skilled worker will ask you for documents which you will certainly be happy to provide to them. And if any other permits are required to apply for, then this is, of course, also your duty. Next slide, please. Here again, at a glance, you have the required steps. So to sum things up, the first step is the binding job offer. Second step is application for the work and residence permit, unless there already is a permit which grants free access to the Austrian labor market. Those you will find them above. Third step, approval by all involved authorities. And the fourth step is start of the employment as soon as the residence permit is issued. And here you will see an overview of what type of improvements we experienced since October 2022. The minimum salaries for some types of red cards and also for the EU blue card have decreased significantly, which definitely is a bonus. Language certificates of the skilled workers are now accepted for a longer time. Initially, it was only valid for 1 year. Work experience is now counted within the points scheme as of 6 months instead of starting with 1 year as it was previously. English as corporate language, if that is applicable to your company, can grant extra 5 points within the points system. And there will also be extra points granted in case a person shows proof of their French, Spanish, Bosnian, Croatian, or Serbian skills. Proof of accommodation is only required in case of immigration with family. The skilled worker himself or herself has to show their proof of address registration at the end of the process, but no rental contract needs to be provided upon initial immigration. And the application, as I mentioned before, can be filed by you as Austrian employer for both the skilled worker and their family members. However, in that case, it is still required to present a rental contract or other proof of long-term accommodation in Austria when the family immigrates with the skilled worker. And now for the final slide. You will have our email address, immigration@aba.gv.at. and an overview of our team members. So all of us are experts on immigration to Austria, and you will reach us all via our email address. And when you receive the presentation in the end, you will have on the next slide a couple of very useful links to our website and blog posts, which address specific areas of immigration to Austria in a detailed way. And you will also have the links to the relevant, to the special relevant laws at the end. So thank you very much indeed for your participation and your interest in today's topic. And I hope that some questions are already in the chat or arise now, and I'll be happy to respond to them.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks to all our speakers for the very informative sessions.
Yes. That's a very good, all very good presentations. Thank you very much. And yeah, technical hiccups, that's normal in any live show, I suppose.
Yeah, but we have a lot of questions in the chat. Many questions were also answered during the presentation, but what I found very interesting is the interaction between the participants in the chat. That's why we are planning to organize a workforce campus during our export day in June at the Chamber of Commerce. I think this kind of format could be beneficial to many of you. But maybe Tess, do you want to start with the first question? So you can address to our speakers.
Most of the questions actually thrown for our speaker mostly was answered already. Thank you very much for that, Raya. Very efficient indeed. Okay, one question, and this I have been asked a few times also by some Austrian companies. Can an Austrian recruitment agency apply for accreditation at the MWO even without a job order, a specific job order?
Hi, so for that, we would really need a concrete job vacancy for your accreditation. So once you apply for accreditation, that already means that you need a specific worker. So for example, you need 5 nurses or 5 cooks. So basically the answer is no, you cannot apply for accreditation if you do not have a specific need yet. So that's one of the things that we would be checking as well.
Okay, so meaning the job, the accreditation of an employer or a recruitment agency, Austrian, is tied up to the job order which is available at the moment that they apply for the accreditation. Yeah. Okay, right. Thank you very much, Raya. Any question from your side, Aaron?
Yes, maybe again, back again to Raya. I saw she answered the question also through the chat function, but I want to bring again, how long is the accreditation valid, and will the basic terms and conditions be reviewed after some years? I think this is for the audience very relevant.
Yeah, so for now, the accreditation is valid for 2 years upon the issuance of the accreditation certificate. So that means probably the time when we received your payment. So that would be for 2 years. And then afterwards, if you are planning to renew your accreditation, you would have to review again your documents. So this is going to be another set of a recruitment agreement, another set of job orders if you have any for your renewal of accreditation.
Mm-hmm. And maybe one other question to you, Raya. Can the Austrian companies have more than one partner
Yes.
in the Philippines?
Okay, so for that question, under the 2023 DMW rules and regulations, employers are allowed to have 5 partner Philippine recruitment agencies. But just to clarify, for your initial accreditation, you would need to submit only one first. So we start with one partner Philippine recruitment agency for your accreditation. And then after that, you can start with the other ones. So if there is really a need to have 5 partners, then that is allowed. But for your initial accreditation, it has to start with one Philippine recruitment agency as a partner.
And where does it start the process? Where should the company, the Austrian company, submit the documents to directly to Milan, to the office, or in the Philippines?
Right. That's right. So based on my presentation a while ago, you have to submit your documents for accreditation first through email to us, the Migrant Workers Office in Milan. So we would evaluate first your documents. So please scan them so we can see if these are already complete and in order. So we can still have time to correct, to revise anything if needed. So I think that's more efficient for everyone. So afterwards, all the documents that would go through the Migrant Workers Office would have to be submitted to the Department of Migrant Workers in the Philippines. So after the processing in our office in Milan, you have the option to pick up the documents personally or book a courier to the Philippines. So your Philippine recruitment agency can hand over the documents to the Department of Migrant Workers. So first to Migrant Workers Office by email at polomilan1@gmail.com. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Raya, for that explanation. There's one question, Eran. I think I have to throw this back to you. It's in German. I'm not sure if I could interpret it correctly. I think it's for Abba.
Yes,
Can
exactly.
you see on the chat box the
Yes,
last question?
exactly.
Yeah.
I will also address it in English to Abba.
Okay.
It's regarding the notification of the shortage occupation physiotherapy, for example. I don't know. What about specialists in the field of medical technical services and professions as physiotherapy, where recognition, notification of training, is it also required in Austria?
Yes, indeed, there are certain regulated professions which require notification of the education obtained abroad. It is quite a complex process, and we have several very detailed blog posts on this matter. I will put them in the chat, the links, and they're also in our presentation. So yes, it is necessary to go through the process, and this has to be in accordance or has to be done in parallel, and also before the red card or EU blue card is issued. There are certain exceptions with the process when it comes to when the start of work in Austria is possible, but you will read about all of that in our blog posts. And if you have a specific case, then please send us an email and we will take a closer look at it.
Maybe Stephanie, back to you. Do Philippine workers need an A2 German certificate to get a red card, or is English sufficient?
It totally depends on the type of red card that is applied for. If it is a card that comes with a points scheme, then the minimum points of 55 must be reached, but it is not absolutely necessary to present proof of German skills to reach those 55 points. So it can totally be possible that a skilled worker from the Philippines or Indonesia comes to Austria based on one of those cards without speaking German yet. Points for English language skills will also be granted, or maybe the person can attain the points in another way.
Good. And maybe the last question for the day, Tess, I will address it to Mrs. Carol.
Sure. Go ahead, Eran.
Thanks. So what are the basic information you need to know from clients? I think this is an important question. Maybe you can give a summary again.
Yes, specifically, we need the requirement details of the skill, the age, male, female, and certifications, and what positions, experience, and also benefit. because the knowledge of the benefit, like starting from the salaries, overtime, and the bonuses, insurance, accommodations, meal, and everything that will affect the time of getting the candidate. Because the more interesting it is, the faster to get the candidate. And usually we always give all the questions that we need for the clients to know.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Running out the time, we had a lot of questions in the chat. We'll answer, we'll address them to all our speakers. Thank you very much for that. Now I would give the floor for the closing remarks also to our colleague in Jakarta, Mr. Nemeti. Please, Sigmund.
Thank you, Erand. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having paid 1.5 hours attention to our webinar. This is a subject which is very interesting for many, and I hope that our input, both from the Philippines, from Indonesia, and also from Austria, is useful for you. Our colleague Tess has already reminded you or informed you about the different events which are coming up. Certain events regarding the Philippines, and one joint event which is going to take place in May, the joint business mission recruiting in Indonesia and the Philippines. It will be from the 13th to the 17th of May of this year, 13 and 14 of May in Jakarta, and then 15 to 17th of May in Manila. We would be very happy to see you at our business mission, and we are sure that you will be able to make very interesting contacts with your counterparts here in Indonesia and the Philippines. If you have any questions concerning recruiting in Indonesia, in the Philippines, or IFO as a whole, please don't hesitate to contact either our office in our colleagues at IFO in Austria, that is Maximilian Buchleitner and Erand Rika, our colleagues in Manila, that's Christina Stiba and Tess Francisco, or our office in Jakarta, that's myself, Sigmund Nemeti, and my team. We will be very happy to assist you and to inform you about how to recruit from our respective countries. With that, we thank you very much for your attention, and we hope to see you soon, either in Indonesia, in the Philippines, or our colleagues at the head office in Vienna. Thank you very much.